Hi, this is the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited Law Firm and Asset Protection Planners. And today we're diving into a topic that could literally save your business, your wealth, and maybe even your sanity. The 12 most common LLC mistakes that people make. And trust me, in my 34 years in this business, I've seen it all. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know how to spot these costly blunders, but you'll also learn the bulletproof strategies that have saved thousands of our clients from financial ruin. And if you like no-nonsense advice with a sprinkle of humor, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because we're just getting started. So let's jump right in. All right, mistake number one, not treating your LLC like a separate entity. Now, this is the cardinal sin of LLC ownership. An LLC, short for limited liability company, is a legal entity designed to protect your personal assets from your business debts and lawsuits. But if you're mixing your personal and business funds like they're ingredients in a smoothie, you're in trouble. It's called piercing the corporate veil. And what courts love to do when you blur the lines is take your money. Let me give you an example. Meet Dave, a real guy, but because he's a client, not his real name. Now, Dave runs a landscaping LLC. He mows lawns, making money, living the dream. But Dave's also using his LLC's bank account to pay for his Netflix subscription, his kids' braces, and that shiny new jet ski he just had to have. One day, a client sues Dave's LLC for $200,000 after a rogue mower incident. Don't ask. The courts look at Dave's sloppy finances and they say, yeah, this LLC isn't separate from Dave at all. Boom. They go right after his personal savings, his house, everything. So moral of the story, don't be Dave. Statistics, a 2022 study by the National Federation of Independent Businesses found that 34% of small business owners admitted to commingling personal and business funds. That's a third of you out there playing Russian roulette with your assets. The fix? Open a separate business bank account, get a business credit card, and keep meticulous records. At Lawyers Limited, we take it a step further. For our higher net worth clients, we integrate a Cook Islands Asset Protection Trust into your structure. So even if somebody tries to pierce your LLC's veil, they hit the brick wall of the offshore asset protection structure. Which brings us to mistake number two, and that is skipping the operating agreement. Now, I know what you may be thinking, paperwork, boring, but hear me out. An operating agreement is like the rule book for your LLC. It spells out who owns what, how decisions are made, and what happens if things go south. So without it, you're really flying blind. The courts don't like blind pilots. Take Sarah and Mike, two friends who started a catering LLC, no operating agreement, just a handshake and good vibes. Business booms, but then Sarah wants to reinvest profits, and Mike wants the cash to buy a new car. They fight. They sue, and because there's no operating agreement, the state's default rules kick in, splitting everything 50-50, even though Sarah did 80% of the work. So they lost months and thousands in legal fees, and an operating agreement could have saved them. Now, let me add this here. Even if you're the only owner of the LLC, having an operating agreement can improve your asset protection when your company is sued or when somebody sues you personally and tries to take your LLC away. So make sure that you have an operating agreement. So here's another stat. According to SCORE, 40% of multi-member LLCs operate without a formal agreement. And I think probably the reason for that is people think, oh, I know how to file an LLC. I'll just file it myself. And they don't realize there's a lot more to it than just filing some papers with the state. There's a lot more. And that's a disaster waiting to happen. So at Lawyers Limited, we draft custom operating agreements, and if needed, they sync with an asset protection trust structure, giving you control as the LLC manager and then the safety net of the trust if a dispute arises. Mistake number three, and that is ignoring the annual filing and the fees. So look, I get it. Paying the government fees feel like feeding a parking meter that never gives you a ticket. But every state requires an LLC to file annual reports and pay fees, almost all of them, usually $50 to $500 depending on which state you're in. Miss those deadlines and your LLC could be dissolved, poof, gone. So here's a case study. In 2020, a California entrepreneur named Lisa lost her LLC status because she forgot her $800 annual franchise tax payment. A creditor sued her now defunct LLC, and since it wasn't active, they went straight for her personal assets. She lost $150,000 when she could have saved it all. Ouch. The Small Business Administration says that 15% of LLCs lapse each year due to missed filing. So don't let that be you. Set a calendar reminder, or better yet, let our renewals department at Lawyers Limited handle it. Our clients never miss a beat. So let's move on to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4, selecting the wrong tax status. Now, LLCs are flexible. You could be taxed as sole proprietorship or partnership by default if it has one owner or two, S corporation or C corporation, and by filing some extra documents. But if you don't choose wisely, you're either overpaying Uncle Sam or missing out on some deductions. Now, I need to add this here. With an offshore LLC, you do need to file the 8832 form to elect sole proprietorship or partnership tax status. With an LLC in the U.S., one of those two are by default, but with an offshore LLC, you actually have to select it. So you use the 8832 form to do that. Make sure you check with a CPA who understands how offshore LLCs work. I once had a client, John, who stuck with the default sole proprietorship taxation for his LLC. He and his wife made $300,000 in profit, but they paid $90,000 in self-employment tax, 15.3% on every dime. If he had elected the S corporation status, he could have saved 40 grand that year. So the IRS says that 25% of LLC owners overpay taxes due to poor planning. So talk to a tax pro or call us at Lawyers Limited. We can get you hooked up with somebody as long as you're a client, and we'll optimize your setup and protect your profits with an asset protection trust as well. Now this brings us to mistake number 5, and that is not protecting your assets from lawsuits. Believe me, I know a thing or two about that, being in the business for 34 years. Now, LLCs shield your personal assets, but only to a point. Let's say if your business gets sued and the LLC's assets can't cover it, attorneys, we've seen them use legal tricks to get around your LLC, leaving you personally vulnerable unless you got a backup plan. So we nest an offshore LLC inside of an offshore trust. You're the manager, you're calling the shots, and if a lawsuit hits, our licensed bonded trustee company in the Cook Islands, for example, steps in to protect you. Put you into a place where creditors can't touch it. Now, international law makes it nearly impossible. In 2023 alone, we shielded over $50 million in client assets this way. So don't leave your LLC naked. Make sure that you fortify it. Mistake number 6 is poor record keeping. If the IRS or a creditor comes knocking, you'll need receipts, contracts, minutes of meetings. Sloppy records can sink you. A 2021 audit found that 60% of LLCs lacked proper documentation, leading to penalties averaging $10,000. So keep a binder, use software, or hire a bookkeeper, but make sure that you keep proper records. Which brings us to mistake number 7, that is overlooking insurance. Now, an LLC isn't a magic shield. Lawsuits can still drain it. General liability costs maybe $500 to $1,000 a year, depending on what kind of liability you have, but it's a bargain compared to a $100,000 settlement. So pair it with an asset protection trust, and you're doubly protected, because there are many things, and keep in mind, many things that insurance don't cover, and if the insurance company can squirm out of paying, believe me, they will. So that brings us to mistake number 8. This is a very important one: adding members without vetting. Now keep in mind, this is coming to mind right now, 50% of marriages end in divorce, but 85% of partnerships end in divorce. When you have another member of your LLC, they are they're like a de facto partner. So new partners can bring cash or they can bring chaos. Vet their finances and especially their character. This is a big one. A 2019 survey showed that 22% of LLC disputes stem from bad partnerships. In fact, our operating agreements clarify these roles up front. Mistake number 9 is misusing the LLC name. So what I mean by misusing the LLC is people forget to add LLC to contracts, like where they sign a document. You could lose liability protection. It's a small detail with great big huge consequences. So we ensure your branding's on point. Make sure to add LLC, and also add when you sign your position, like ABC LLC, John Smith, manager, Sarah Jones, manager. Make sure to have the LLC name, your title with the LLC before you sign. So don't just sign your name. Make sure you have your LLC's name there and you're signing as manager of the LLC. Mistake number 10 is not planning for succession. When you die, who gets your LLC? Without a plan, it's a mess. A clause in your LLC's operating agreement that a trust acquires your LLC upon your passing ensures a smooth transition. In fact, our clients sleep easy knowing that their legacy is secure. Okay? So mistake number 11. Number 11 is ignoring state laws. Now keep in mind that every state law is different. California is a bear, no pun intended. Texas is lax. So know your rules or pay the price. We've got experts in all 50 states and offshore that can help you out. Mistake number 12, and this is a biggie, thinking that you're invincible. We have a lot of people call and say, well, I'm a good person, and people only sue people who hurt people on purpose. Well, that's not true. What it is when somebody sues you, they just want your money. It doesn't matter if you did something wrong or not. If you didn't do anything wrong, they can make something up. I'm sure you've heard of a frivolous lawsuit. Frivolous lawsuits happen all the time. And a lot of times, a judge believes the frivolous claim. So what you think is frivolous, a judge might think is real, and that could strip you of everything that you have. Unless you're fighting it, unless you're defending it, unless you're protected, they will. So the bottom line is LLCs are great, but they're not foolproof. Pair them with an asset protection trust, our specialty, and you're close to untouchable as it gets. So we've been doing this for 34 years, folks. So there you have it, the 12 most common mistakes and how to dodge them like a pro. Look, I've spent 34 years in the asset protection field, nearly 30 of them perfecting the Cook Islands trusts. I've set up more of them than anybody in the world, and I can tell you, your LLC is only as strong as your planning is behind the LLC. So if you want to learn more, subscribe to this channel for weekly tips. Visit assetprotectionplanners.com for a free consultation. Hit the like button, subscribe if you found this video helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.